Hallo miteinander, I'm Gish86 and this is Touhou Wandering Souls. The first look at this fan game might make some of you frown, so I'm pleading to you not to judge a book by its cover. The reason I'm saying this now is because Wandering Souls uses a lot of stock assets. Characters from Scarlet Weather Rhapsody, enemies from Maple Story, locations from Donkey Kong Country, and even music from the official Touhou games. What makes this okay in my opinion are two things. Number one, this game is genuinely good, fun, and simply worth your time. A very weak and subjective reasoning that I know, so here's number two. It is also completely free. And I don't mean free to play, pay to win or any of that nonsense. No, it's just a single player game that you download and enjoy. And all because its creator, Estheone, I hope that's how it's intended to be pronounced, had some free time, probably liked Touhou a whole lot, and simply wanted to make something cool for everyone. So let's not ignore the ongoing gameplay any longer. We are controlling Sakuya Izayoi in a 2D action platformer, one with RPG elements, as you could likely guess from the many floating numbers popping up. We are currently slashing up all kinds of dangerous looking seafood, while creeping along at the bottom of the misty lake, not ever needing to come up for air. So far, so abnormal. Our game mechanics are actually very intricate. There are different combos, spell cards that you charge up, and special abilities you activate through button combinations. It is surprisingly complex and well thought out, especially for a free game. And I'm sorry if I'm now sounding like a salesman again, but you know what they say, you get what you pay for. Many people think that way, and a lot of times it proves to be true. By that logic, Wandering Souls should be whatever at best, but it does some really nifty things. And you just witnessed one. We have switched characters and are now Marissa. Wandering Souls stars the three girls who first became playable in Touhou's Windows era. They have only slightly different stats from one another, but they're all unique in the skills and spell cards they wield. It isn't easy to assign hard classes to each of them, but Marissa has the most magic points in comparison to Remu and Sakuya. You might want to use that advantage to its fullest and have her cast many spell cards. Spell cards like the mighty Magic Cannon Typhoon Spark we just used. Remu seems to be the most balanced among them, whereas Sakuya feels a little more direct, more like a fighter archetype. I also know that some of the bosses can be recruited, and you can build up your own party of 3 with them, but only much later, when you are playing through Chaos Mode, this game's version of a New Game Plus. This right here is the final encounter of the stage. You can tell so because of the red flagpole we have seen. It serves as a last reminder whether you have everything you wanted from the stage, as there are indeed secrets. Secrets in the form of the Wandering Souls. These name-giving MacGuffins are the main collectible of the game, kind of like your stars or your jiggies if you want. And just like those, they primarily unlock new stages. Some of them are hidden, others are tied to special challenges. For example, the one we just got was for speedrunning the stage, clearing it under a certain time. The next stage we'll be tackling is the very first one of World 3, the Scarlet Devil Mansion. And once again, we are competing for a soul against the clock, because I was just way too sluggish when I first played through this level, that and looking for items. A little bit of info about the save file we are using. This is my first and main playthrough, and I believe I was in World 5 when I recorded this. And that means that for what we are up against, we are kind of grotesquely overleveled. Doesn't matter, even though we are steamrolling over everything, I still really like this level. It has a very cool gimmick, one of my favorites so far, and the name of said gimmick is Hong Mei Ling, not China. We just blasted a Master Spark right into her face, but it did not seem to impress her all that much. That is because she can't actually be defeated until we reach her boss arena. So yeah, she is a constant harassment to you that you can't really do anything about except avoid. It's a very clever idea, and there are far more where that came from. This game in general is very technical, way more than it seems. Another example, we have a special hyper ability. It is a limited desperation mode that we can activate, and there are also alternate attacks that we can mix into our standard combo. Like the boomerang throw Reimu just did with her Go-Hai, you just have to hold down while attacking to do that. That move also has the chance to inflict attack down on your enemies. Your normal combination won't do that. Same thing with Marissa's crouch kick, that one can stun. So you see, this game is far from a button masher. And it is time. Mei Ling finally has a health bar now. She is actually a pretty formidable boss, and she even brings her own spell cards. Some spell cards you might want to dodge, but this one it is smarter to block. Yes, you do have a guard ability, and it's an important one too. Don't overdo it though, because you can suffer guard break. I earnestly swear to you that Mei Ling is quite tough. It's just that this stage lies so far in the past by now. When I first fought her, she was definitely the hardest boss I had faced up to that point. Now we're going to do a small cut here. I wanted to show you something else this game has going for it. Here's the pause screen with our equipment. Seems pretty standard at first sight. We have a weapon and 4 accessory slots for each character. The accessories also have elements assigned to them, but what's so special here are the stars next to each piece of equipment. They signify an item's level, which increases just by wearing it during your fights. You level up all kinds of stuff in this game, not just your characters. That is also impressive because items that don't seem so great at first can turn out to become quite powerful. Even if you don't need something at the very moment, it might be smart to power something up for when you get into a tight spot. Let's say poison suddenly becomes an issue, your antidote ring can give you a little bit of resistance, or downright immunity if only you've prepared for it. There is of course also a shop for items. Guess who the clerk is? Rinnosuke. Who else could it be? Here are our spell cards and skills, and as you can see, they also have stars next to them. These will gain experience for each time you activate them. So if you are very fond of a certain skill, keep using it and it'll become even better over time. Let us get back to the action now. Just one more tiny thing. All this talk about leveling and experience might make you fear that Wandering Souls could be a bit grindy. I really wouldn't say it is, no. Alright, we are now in World 4, the Yokai Mountain. Once again, we are doing another time trial that I could not complete before. This one is actually pretty tight with only 3 minutes to spare. And on top of that, World 4 also isn't nearly as outdated as what we've already played. Yeah, the pacing of the combat now should be a lot more representative of how the game usually flows. Still fairly swift, but we won't be flattening everything in an instant anymore. On that note, Wandering Souls is not an easy game. I haven't had too tough of a time yet, but that is only because I started to play on the lowest of 3 difficulty levels, Normal. Easy does not even exist, apparently this game believes it is never easy. The very highest one, as expected, is named Lunatic, and it's supposedly quite brutal. So much that Estheone hadn't even fully beaten that one him or herself yet. At least when I read that. Maybe that is no longer even the case. But yeah, Wandering Souls has the potential to be challenging. Funny that, the first time I heard its name, I thought Dark Souls. So, is it a Touhou spoof on Dark Souls? No, I wouldn't say so. It's not easily recognized as that. Man, I would totally play a Touhou Souls or Touhou Born if it were well made. One general tip here, no matter the zone, you tend to encounter fairies, and now I don't mean the Touhou fairies, but these Maple Story fairies. Always kill these first. They are dedicated supporters and will give your foes ridiculous buffs, even hackery like temporary invincibility or such. They also use other cheap tricks, like unavoidable stun spells, so as I just said, make them top priority. There's some more technical information I wanted to give, it might be very important to know. Wandering Souls was made with the RPG Maker VX, it uses its engine, but the game itself is a .exe application. You don't need to own the RPG Maker VX to run it. That might have been a redundant thing to explain to some of you, common knowledge maybe, but it wasn't for me. I don't own the RPG Maker VX, and for a short time, I wasn't sure if I was even going to be able to play Wandering Souls. It's just that I knew very little about that program, unfortunately. I do know that it isn't free, so that was a concern of mine. I also know that its promotional video has been read to parade. Despite that, it doesn't seem to be too bad of a tool. Wandering Souls at least speaks for that. The game even won an award, you know, among the French RPG Maker community in 2012 in the Alex d'Or contest. Third place overall, as well as a special award for gameplay. Our spell card just got interrupted. All spell cards have to be charged up before use, and if you get hit too often during the process, it may just reset. That can be very annoying, but those are the rules. You will just have to accept them. Such a mistake may have cost us this time trial. We may already be over the 3 minutes. That is something, by the way, that you can check in your pause menu. You can find a timer for the current stage in there. Whether we succeed or not, this stage will conclude our video. So did we perhaps make it? Nope, too bad. I'm Gish86, this was Touhou Wandering Souls. I hope this video gave you a decent impression of this game, and maybe even motivated you to try it out for yourselves. Bis bald!